Hey, good evening, man. Good evening, everybody, man. I'm so grateful and so thankful for another opportunity to come back on the Conversation 9A. I'm so appreciative of the continued support that everybody continue to give. It means a lot to me. It means more to me than what you know. I'm excited again for another opportunity to have this conversation, and I look forward to the conversation today. So make sure, thank you again for the adjustments. We're adjusting back to our regular scheduled time due to me having some obligation in the field. But with all that being said, man, I'm just excited. Thank you guys so much for coming on, being a part of this, and let me know where you watching in from. Let me know where you tuning in from because it means a lot to me. But again, we're gonna get on with this conversation. I want to share this with a few people. We're just gonna jump in and make it do what it do. Make it do what it do. But all in all, been enjoying this summertime. Looking forward to taking a little time off, enjoy some time off with family and friends, uh, and well with the kids and all of that. And that's what I'm looking forward to. And we're gonna do that and be on with this. But again, man, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Your continued support. Uh, it's been episode 92. We've been going at this thing for a while, and uh, I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to continue this conversation because it means a lot, not only to myself, but I think it means a lot just from the feedback that I'm getting from a lot of people. And I hope that these topics that we talk about are topics that are actual real topics that we all deal with, topics that we all can relate to, and things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So that's from the point. That's really from my heart. What I wanted to do with starting this, and we're just gonna get on with this conversation. Get on with the get on. I want to give a shout out though. Juneteenth, a lot of Juneteenth celebrations going on, especially a lot back home. So I just want to give a shout out uh, to those back home in Alabama, but throughout America, those who are celebrating Juneteenth and the importance of Juneteenth. I can remember growing up, my grandmother always used to share about it, the importance of Juneteenth. That's kind of like the celebration when a lot of slaves found out that even months, a long time after the 13th Amendment uh, came and was put in office, they found out months later that they were actually free, and this is where they're celebrating their freedom. So just want to give a shout out to that. But I look forward to this conversation tonight, for real, because this conversation tonight is a conversation where it's one that's going to be very transparent. I'm going to be very transparent because I thought about it like, man, what do we need to what do I need to talk about? And like, God, what do you want me to talk about? And I think a lot of conversations, everything is packaged up. Um, a lot of times we like to package things up as if we are perfect and we're all perfect, that everything is together, everything is good, we have no flaws, and everything is on the up and up. In all of our ways and all the things that we do and all of our dealings, man, everything is just good to go. And that's not truth. That's not the reality. That's not the reality of what life is. That's not the reality, our reality of who we are as people. We all have areas that we and places in our lives that we all need help. And the key to it is this. The key to it is not acknowledging that we need help, but also taking some time to look at those things and start saying, you know what, not only am I going to acknowledge it, but these are the steps that I'm going to take to make sure that I deal with it and address it so that it won't continue to be an issue in my life. And one of the biggest things with that is a lot of us are too afraid to deal with that. And that's what I want to talk about. That right there is something that I really want to talk about because a lot of us are too afraid to deal with that. A lot of us are too afraid to deal with the reality of, of stuff about us. And, and this is the sad truth. You know, the sad truth is this. The sad truth is that we lie to ourselves more than we lie to anybody else ever. We lie to ourselves so much. And one of the biggest things is we lie to ourselves in order as a way to justify us not dealing with our bad behaviors or the ways that we are. And there's a lot of things that can happen to us that can influence a lot of situations and circumstances in our lives. But we know a lot of the things we lie to ourselves about because we don't want to start dealing with and addressing our toxic behaviors. We have toxic behaviors of how we are to our spouse, or how we are to our kids, or how we are to our coworkers, or just how we are to ourselves. And we lie to ourselves to try to justify that behavior, but that behavior needs to be addressed. And not only that it needs to be addressed, we need to start saying, you know what, this is what caused it. And I need to heal and deal with that part so that I can start to have the ability to start addressing it and work towards me becoming a better me or a better you. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Like, really, it's time to stop lying to yourself. You know, we tend to lie to ourselves so much to where it becomes as if it is a truth to us. And by becoming as if it's a truth to us, what ends up happening is we'll begin to believe the lie that we're telling ourselves. And by beginning to believe in that lie, that's what we begin to ascribe to or prescribe our life to, or that's the image in which we try to portray to others as if, hey, this is who I am, but that's not who you are. And what happens is we'll spend years and years and years of our lives putting so much time, energy, and effort into trying to portray or fulfill the image of the lie which we're telling ourselves, instead of taking the time to do the work to manifest that person in which we want to become. And that's a sad truth. That's a sad truth, but that's a reality that many of us do. And it manifests itself in our relationships. It manifests itself with those closest to us the most. And they're the ones who suffer from it because we continue to lie to ourselves. My mom said we want to hide from ourselves because I don't like, she said we want to hide from ourselves because I don't like myself, but don't want to deal with myself. And you know, Mom, I'm glad that you said that, but you know, just because you choose to hide from yourself because you may not like yourself, and by you not liking yourself, puts you in a position where you don't want to deal with yourself, it doesn't eliminate the realities of the consequences in which the choices that you're making in that space, how it impacts your life or how it impacts the lives of others around you. So it doesn't matter that because you may be afraid. It doesn't matter that you may not want to deal with yourself. Somebody got to deal with the consequences of that from you. And a lot of times it's the people that are around us, the closest to us, that have to deal with that. They have to deal with the fact that you don't want to address yourself. You don't want to address that you got some bad ways. You don't want to address that, hey, why are you so ill-tempered? You don't want to address why you're so impatient. You don't want to address why you're so controlling. You don't want to address those things. And those things are really rooted in something they didn't cause, but they got to deal with the consequences because you don't want to deal with you. My mama said true, but it is a truth. It is a truth. And that's a truth that I really want us to really talk about. That's why I really wanted to come on and talk about today is we have to stop lying to ourselves. And I said to stop lying to ourselves so much and start dealing with and addressing your toxic behaviors. And what do I mean by toxic behaviors? One of the things a lot of people do is a lot of people sit around and they try to define their toxic behaviors as if it's a personality, it's part of their personality or their characteristics. But what it really is a lot of the toxic behaviors are coping mechanisms to deal with undealt with things from our past. And so we put up all of these things and we put up all of these we portray this stuff as if this is who I am, but we are this way because we try to protect people from being close to us because we're afraid to be hurt. Or we're this way because I'm controlling because I've been hurt by somebody before, so I want to feel as if I'm in control of everything going forward. So by me feeling like I'm in control, it gives me a false sense of security, but that's not true. What happens is because you always have to be in control, a lot of times you end up running away or hurting the very people who God has placed to be there in your life, who God has placed to even help you heal, but you run them away. You run them away because guess what? You run them away because all of these things and these protective mechanisms, these defense mechanisms that we put up in a sense to protect ourselves, and it manifests itself as toxic behaviors when we're interacting with others. It does. It does. What I mean by toxic behaviors, I'm not talking about stuff that you may not feel like is toxic. I'm talking about toxic that it impacts other people. Because one of the things is we at times we would, what we would do is at times we will be toxic. Our behavior will be toxic towards others that we don't even consider it being toxic, because to us it's normal, because we done normalize it through us lying to ourselves so much. And we feel like that's how it should be, and that's not right. And the thing is, we don't like addressing it, because it forces us to deal with the reality of us. And if we really be honest with ourselves, we'll start to realize, like, dang, man, I got some ways. And we all can acknowledge we got some ways. And we can all look at certain things like, and we can, to us, it may be minor. To us, to us and ourselves and our protective mechanism or certain ways, it may be minor things. But the reality is, it's not minor when other people have to interact and deal with it. Because guess what? The other people, they had nothing to do with what may have caused you to develop that mindset in the first place. And that's something that you have to really look at. We have to look at it from that perspective. We really have to look at it from that perspective. My mom said toxic behavior is the mask we put on to protect us when we have issues that should be addressed professionally. Now, I completely agree with that. I am a major advocate for individuals receiving professional help for issues or things that may have happened to them or may have impacted them in any way, shape, or form. And what I mean by professional help is, first of all, I am an advocate for the power of prayer. I understand the power of prayer, but I also understand the power of wisdom. I also understand the power of structure. I also understand the power of people being professionally trained in areas to help you navigate through certain things. And I'm all about activating your faith and leaning on your faith, because guess what I did? I did the same thing. I did the same thing myself, where I activated my faith, but I also activated my faith and I prayed, but I also went and got professional help that helped me get through a space in my life where I needed help. And if I didn't get help at that time, it would have impacted my relationship with my son and my family and as a whole right now. As a whole right now. It would have impacted that big time. My mom also said, Pastor White, her pastor, preached about the deadly state of dysfunctional normalcy. It's a real issue. I like that. I like that, Pastor White. I like that statement. Dysfunctional normalcy. Wow, that's very powerful. That right there is very powerful. That is very, very powerful. And I want to tap in on that. Because dysfunctional normalcy is a mask that people put on to not deal with the issues in which they have. And what happens is, because it becomes normal to them, they have convinced themselves, they have lied to themselves so much that this is what right looks like, or this is acceptable behavior. And they expect other people around them to compensate, and they expect them to just accept or compensate their behavior. But their behavior, and a lot of the behavior that comes out of dysfunctional normalcy it really equates or correlates to toxic behavior. It does. It's controlling. You want to be in control. You have to be in charge. Things have to be your way. You become very manipulative. You develop narcissistic behavior, and you don't understand why other people are upset with you and don't want to be around you and don't want to work with you, because you have normalized dysfunction. You have normalized it. That's what you've done. And we don't like addressing that because, well, ain't nothing wrong with me. Okay. But guess what? You're not living in this world by yourself. A lot of kids are living with, man, this thing is something serious. But there's a lot of children that are living with the hurt and pain from people toxic behaviors that have come from normalizing dysfunction, because those same people are afraid to deal with and address what caused them to put those things in place or develop those behaviors in the first place. And the reason why they don't want to address it, they're afraid to address it, is because they don't want to face themselves. They are too afraid to face themselves or face the reality of what may have caused that pain and that hurt. So guess what they do? They normalize it like, this is how I am. And we don't realize what the damage that they've done to their kids. It's done a lot of damage to their kids, where their kids have to grow up in that. Kids have to walk on eggshell, and they never able to have that conversation with their parents or their the people that their guardians, because they refuse to address themselves, and they just project their protective mechanism on their kids, and it damages them for life. It damages them for life. It damages them for life to the point to where, guess what? Their kids don't even know how to address certain things. They don't even know how to deal with certain things as they get older. And they go off into the world thinking that that's normal, and it's not normal. And they have a tough time adjusting to the realities of this world because of the dysfunctional environment that they grew up in, all because they grew up in an environment with a parent or a guardian who did not want to address, and they did not want to stop lying to themselves and start dealing with and addressing their toxic behaviors, addressing the root cause of their behaviors. And this is how generational curses are started and perpetuated on and on to the next generation, Because somebody was hurt and they don't want to address it, so they just sit there and try to deal with it. And in their reality of dealing with it, what it does is it perpetuates that same dysfunction, and it passes it on to their kids. And their kids pass it on to their kids, all because people are afraid. And one of the reasons why I may be afraid is because the source of that hurt is somebody in a position of trust, or it may be a parent or a grandparent. And I don't want to address it, because if I address it, then I feel like I'm attacking it. But it perpetuates generations to generations to generations. And I've seen it. And it's a scary thing. It is a scary thing. It is a very scary thing to deal with things that impacted you. But it's so necessary, because if you don't deal with it, what you're doing is you're saying that by me choosing not to deal with what hurt me, what I'm choosing to do is I'm choosing to allow it to be passed on to my kids and my children's children. And that same hurt that hurt me, that made me afraid to deal with it, I'm willing to allow it to go impact my kids and my children's children, all because I'm afraid to deal with it, all because I'm afraid to address it. And that's why it's so important to say, you know what? I'm going to deal with it. The buck stopped with me. It does. Hey, I'm going to stop lying to myself, and I'm going to start dealing with why I got an issue with my mama. I'm going to stop lying to myself, and I'm going to start dealing with why I got an issue with my daddy. I'm going to stop lying to myself, and I'm going to start dealing with why I'm so sensitive about this situation, or why I'm so angry at this situation, or why I'm so angry at that. I'm gonna start dealing with that, and I'm gonna start taking ownership of that. And not only start taking ownership, I'm gonna start addressing it and pray for the courage to go and address with the root cause. And by me taking that courage and going to be able to deal with the root cause, what that does is I'm freeing myself up from carrying that dead weight, so I can go on and live my life. I would tell you, it is so much, and my mom saying it right here. She said, addressing issues frees you and your family, not just generations, but sometimes those associated with your family. That is so true. That right there is so true. It is choosing to say, I am going to address the reality that I was molested. I'm going to address the reality that I was raped. I'm going to address the reality that I was abused. I was going to address the reality that I was neglected. I'm going to address the reality that I had to endure some hardship, that I was exposed to some stuff I shouldn't have been exposed to, which opened up a Pandora box for me. And now I'm trying to deal with it, and I'm trying to survive. But then it manifests itself in toxic behaviors that I have, that I'm at a space where I'm refusing to deal with it. And I don't want that same toxic behavior, that same mindset to end up impacting my kids, to impacting with those close around me, to impact my loved ones or the quality of life that I have, all because I refuse not to deal with it. I'm going to address it. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to deal with that thing. Because guess what? Not only am I going to address it because of what I know that, because I'm tired of dealing with this, I'm going to address it because I know it's better out there. I know there's more to life than what I've had to deal with. And this is from a spiritual perspective. A lot of the things that happen to us are the enemy will plant things in your grandparents' life because he understands the assignment on your life. And it can pass on to generation because he hope it serves as a snowball and just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point to where everybody feel overwhelmed and feel like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that. Then I'm just going to let it sit there. No, I'm going to address that thing. I'm going to get the courage, because guess what? I may not get a I'm sorry from them. You may not get a I'm sorry for what somebody else did to you. But you getting a I'm sorry for you is not worth you waiting for a I'm sorry. It's not worth you wasting your life hoping that you're going to get that I'm sorry when you can take ownership and say, you know what, I'm going to address it. Because I don't want these behaviors to be passed on to my kids. I don't want my kids to see me growing up. I don't want my kids to grow up seeing the hurt and the pain and the impact of that, not addressing it the same way I grew up seeing my parents or my guardians deal with that. I don't want them to deal with that. I don't want them to have that. I don't want them to see these things. What I want them to do is to free these things up so that they can walk in the freedom of it. So they don't have to walk in the bondage of it. And that's really that right there is what I'm talking about. Like, seriously, we got to stop lying to ourselves. It's not just this I'm talking about even on the personal behavior. Stop lying to yourself that you know how to manage money and you don't know how to manage money. Stop lying to yourself about that and go get some help. Go get some help. Go allow yourself, start reading some books, go to some classes. Stop lying to yourself about that. Stop lying to yourself that you are a good person when you know you got some bad ways. You know that you got some evil ways. Start addressing that and start dealing with why. It ain't just because you came from that family. It's because you choosing not to. Especially a lot of people be in the church for years and never change. And it has nothing to do with the power of God, the word of God. It has everything to do with the power of them choosing not to deal with themselves. And they try to hide themselves so much under the guise of these titles and all this stuff. But really, they just the same nasty person because they refuse to address and deal with their toxic behavior. And God ain't got no part of that at all. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. We hide behind those titles of pastor, pastor's wives, minister, usher, whatever. We hide behind all of that stuff and still never deal with the real issues that we have. And then we run folks away from the church because we got nasty ways, but then we want to try to hide behind that title as if God is pleased with that. No, he's not. No, he's not. He is not pleased with that at all, because guess what? You're choosing to remain the same, but try to hide behind the mask of a position or religion, and you still refuse to deal with yourself because you are too afraid to address your behavior. And yeah, you can shout, you can speak in tongues, you can foam at the mouth, you can roll out on the floor, you can do cartwheels, backward flips, splits, the electric slide, moonwalk. You can do all of that, but still be the same nasty person that you was when you got saved in 1975 than you are right now in 2022. You just mask it behind some shouting, but you still the same deep down nasty person. All because you continue to lie to yourself and you refuse to address your toxic behaviors. Folks tired of that. People are tired of that. People are tired of dealing with people like that. And a lot of people like that hurt a lot of people. They hurt a lot of folks. My mama said the most dangerous person is the one who have lied to themselves that they do not have an issue and don't need help. The second most dangerous person is a person who have lied to themselves about the real issues that are needed to be addressed. I agree with that. I agree with that. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's a dangerous place to be in when you lie to yourself as if you don't have no issues, and you do. Like, you do. Like, and this and I'm glad this, man, my nose is itching, allergies acting up. I'm squeezing my nose all the time, but I'm glad that my mom brought that up because it's something that I really, excuse me. really want to deal with, because one of the dangerous things that a person can do when you lie to yourself is, if you don't have an issue that you do need, but you do have an issue and you need help, that being around those people are always moody. You always find them being moody. They always are moody, and they always expect other people to cater to their moodiness, because they are emotional roller coaster. And one day they're good, one day they're bad. 1 minute they good, 1 minute they bad. All because they have lied to themselves like, I'm good, but they have an internal warfare going on. And that's a dangerous place to be in. And what people like that don't even realize, the people that living with them, it's almost like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And they are extremely sensitive about any and everything, and especially about when you hold them accountable for their behavior. Those people are not good people to be around. They aren't. They aren't good people to be around. And my mom said they are sensitive. And yes, they are. They are sensitive. And I will, in 1975, that wasn't a shot. That wasn't a shot. But I mean, since you brought it up, I think I may play with it a little bit more during the show. But that's a dangerous person to be around. And those people are very dangerous, like very dangerous. And I mean, when I say dangerous, they are very dangerous. And the reason why they're very dangerous is, like I said before, but it impacts those around them. And they don't feel like nothing's wrong. They always have a mindset like, what's wrong with them? Why they always tripping? Like, no, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Like, nobody want to deal with that. People don't want to deal with it. And a lot of people tolerate that because they may have to, because you may be in a position of authority and people have to. And it can manifest itself even, listen, man, I see this even on the professional side. I see people that make it to high ranks and they got some issues, some serious issues that are manifested in how they operate day to day. And they refuse to address it. They refuse to even address it. But a lot of it's perpetuated because people are afraid to address it with them. You got people that in position of trust and or position of leadership, and people may feel afraid or intimidated to go tell them that they are wrong about it or their behavior is not right. Excuse me again. I tell you, my allergies are acting up. But that's the God honest truth. That right there is the truth. That's the truth about it in that aspect. And there's a lot of people who don't like doing that. They don't like addressing themselves. But the reality is, we all have ways, man. Like, we all have some ways. And it all boils down to is, what are you willing to do to address your ways? Especially if your ways are causing issues with those that are close to you. Are causing issues that are those close to you. And the reality is this: if you choose not to address or deal with your ways, it's best for you to just stay single. It's best for you to just stay by yourself. It's best for you to stay from around people, right? And work from a job from your own house, because nobody likes being around that. And if you expect everybody to compromise because that's something that you want, I tell you, that's not reality to not only what to expect, but that's just not a reality of how life happens or how things happen on a day-to-day basis. It's not a reality. And eventually what happens is this. Eventually what happens with that is those type of people are, I'm telling you, people tolerate those people. They don't want to be around those people. And they may tolerate you because you mama. They may tolerate you because you daddy or granddaddy or grandmama. They may tolerate you because you in a position of leadership on the job. They may tolerate you, but those people don't want to have nothing to deal with you or to do with you because you don't want to address yourself. And I tell you, there's nothing more pleasant. Not too many more things are pleasant than to be around somebody who are willing to take ownership and address their behaviors. Now, there's a difference between you considering my behavior toxic because you don't like me, or me having toxic issues. That's a whole nother conversation. because I know a lot of people will say, oh, you got toxic behaviors, because no, I don't have to change because you don't like me, because that may be your preference. What I'm speaking of with toxic behaviors is I'm talking about those behaviors that we are exhibit that are a result of something we aren't willing to deal with ourselves with. That's what I'm speaking towards when I say toxic behaviors. Those behaviors where I'm this way because I don't want to deal with the issues that I got. So I just want to thank you guys so much for your continued support, supporting this show. It means a lot more than what you think. We'll continue to go on. We're getting ready to getting close to episode 100. We're going to planning to do something big then. But again, thank you guys so much. I pray you guys have a great and wonderful day. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. God bless.